So welcome to my episode on games that are missing. Yes, games that are missing from my collection, games that I would love to own. I've looked everywhere for them and I cannot find them. I can't find them in stores. Yes, they're on eBay. You can pay outrageous prices to get them on eBay, but I particularly don't want to do that. I will ask you guys before I begin, what are some games missing from your collection? Is there some games that you've just tried to find in stores? You can't find them anywhere, especially nowadays where everybody goes into Salvation Armies and secondhand stores and buys all of the old games and puts them on eBay, as I say, for outrageous prices, and we're left with nothing. Can you go to your local store and find these games? Because I certainly cannot. Let me know down below. Now, this is just me having a lot of fun looking at some games that I really want to own in my collection. Some of them I've owned and I've lost. Terrible things have happened, and some games I aspire to own, but they're just so outrageously expensive that it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. You're like, oh, I'd really like to have that game. Whoa, why is it like $3,000? And this is the problem, right? This is the problem. Some games that I love from my childhood that I just have so many emotions about are outrageous prices now that don't even make any sense. So let's start off with one of the first games, and I think this is a reasonable game. I don't believe it's too expensive, but I can't find it in the wild. I can't go into a store and buy this. I've looked everywhere, and that is for Rival Schools United by Fate. Yes, that great fighting game that was released by Capcom back in the day on PS1. I remember getting a copy of the game back in those days when you had a mod chip on your PS1, and I got this game and I was like, this game is incredible. And I remember having Rob come over and we'd be fighting all the time and I'd be kicking his ass and doing all these combos and juggles into the air. It's still a time period when Capcom could do no wrong. Every game that they were releasing on PS1 was awesome. And this was another thing. This was a time when so many companies could take a gamble and release a brand new franchise. Yeah, I mean, nobody does that anymore. It's always like, Final Fantasy 16, 15, or whatever it is that they're releasing. They're always sequels now. But back then, they took a gamble and they would release some brand new franchises that were really cool. And Rival Schools is really cool. And it's definitely one that I want to pick up. I don't want to get it off eBay. I want to walk into a store one day and just see it and go, there it is, my holy grail, because it means that much to me. Do any of you guys remember Rival Schools United by Fate? Let me know down below. I feel as it's one of those forgotten gems of a game now that I still really have fond memories of.
Let's go!
Now the next game is a game that's not too expensive, but I want to walk into my local store and just find it one day. And I know that it's going to show up one day. There's been different versions of it showing up, like kind of ratty versions of it. I'm like, no. I want a nice box. I want it also look really good and all of that. And that is for Shining Force, the great strategy game on the Sega Genesis. Now, I got this game right when it first came out, and I loved it. I love the strategy of it. I love the artwork. I thought the battle animations were, at the time, the most awesome thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I just did a video on my top 10, console strategy games. That should have been in there as well. It's such a great game. And it's one of those ones that I see it once in a while come into my local game store, and to varying degrees, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll wait to get a better copy of it. Or it comes in, there's no manual or something. I'm like, I'll wait. And I've been waiting. So here's what happened. Somebody stole it from me. Yes, I'm gonna just come out and say it. I used to have parties here back in the day. I don't do that anymore. And some of my games just kind of went, woo, they just kind of disappeared. Like my Super Mario 64. I still don't know where that is. What happened with that? And Shining Force is one of those ones I had a nice box copy, and it's gone. And I know where every single game I own is, and it's not here. It's not in a closet. All my games are always out around me. I know where they all are. If you said to me, hey, John, where's this game? I can go, hey, it's right here. Oh, it's right here over here. I know where every single game is. Even all my Japanese games, I know exactly what they are by the lettering on the boxes. So Shining Force is one of those ones I want to bring back into the collection from wherever the black hole it disappeared into. Okay, this next game is interesting because I already own the game. and that is Last Alert on the TurboGrafx. I got this like in the early 90s, and I think I was like 15, 16 years old when I picked it up. I got this for my birthday. It's so crazy, actually. Probably nearly like 35 years ago now, this very copy. And here's the thing. What do I want? I want a nice box copy. And you'd be like, but wait, you have the CD right there. Okay, so back when the TurboGrafx games were first released, they would come in a nice box. Like, hit this, look at this beautiful box right here. And then you take the game out of the box. I'm picking Kadash here. And then what parents would do, they would throw these out. They would throw them in the garbage. You don't need this anymore. You don't need this outer shell anymore because you have the game right here. This is all that matters. Yeah, you know, like I did some crazy stuff in the 90s. Look at this. This is my original Easebooks 1 and 2 box. Obviously the game has got out over here. You're like, oh my God, what happened to it? Back then, I used to put it and hang it on the wall as artwork, and I would tape it on the wall. You can see there's tape on here. That's what I did. I was like, oh, I'm not getting rid of this artwork. I'm going to treat it well by putting it on the wall with tape. What were we thinking back then? I don't know. But my hunt has been going for Last Alerts. And yes, I am guilty. I've gone on eBay a couple of times. It's not something that I'm proud of to do, and bid on a nice box copy, and I always keep losing out because it goes astronomical. And it's just one of those games that the older I'm getting now, my childhood seems sweeter and sweeter to me. It does. As I'm getting older, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, you know, my birthday 35 years ago when I got Last Alert, it meant so much to me.
Uh-oh, I see there's a welcoming committee out for me.
All the terrible dialogue, you know, terrible dubbing in it. It brings back a lot of good old memories.
Guy Kazama, if you don't want the hostage killed, you should keep quiet.
Guy, the stealth bomber is in the back of this factory.
Okay, Spartan, hang in there just a while longer.
Okay, the next game, right now, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventure on the GameCube. Now, my friend Gary picked up a copy back in the day, the big box copy. Right? And then the game would come in there. It came with a link cable. It was really cool. You could hook it up to your Game Boy Advance and use it as a screen and hook up a whole bunch of them. And you could all play together. That was the novelty of it. But it was very convoluted how to get all that working and getting everybody together and bringing their link cables and their Game Boy Advances. Mass hysteria. I think I just played it with one friend, my friend Gary, and we played that a lot, and we loved it. And it's one of those ones that's become a bit nostalgic for me, and I never see that game anywhere in stores. You'll always find just the regular box copy, but not the big box copy. And that's the one I'm looking for. Okay, dream with me here. Let's dream together, because this is all I'll ever be able to do with these two games that I want to talk about, because they're both for the Neo Geo, one of my most beloved systems and arcade machines when I was a kid. And one of the games I've thought about for so many years and I've aspired to pick up, but I just can't justify the price tag because it's ridiculous, is Kabuki Clash. Yes, on the Neo Geo. So Kabuki Clash is based on the Far East of Eden RPG series, one that I've talked about on the channel quite a lot, and I got some artwork by Yoshitaro Tsujino, the character designer of Far East of Eden, who does all the character designs for Kabuki Clash. Now, Kabuki Clash is interesting on the Neo Geo, is they took all the characters from the RPG series and mushed them together and created a fighting game. Yes, this was a dream come true. I remember going up to my local Chinese malls back in the day. Like, it was called like Johan Center and Parker Place. They're in Vancouver here, for anybody who knows them. They were legendary places, great arcades in there. And I remember walking in and seeing Kabuki Clash and going, oh my God, my favorite series, Far East of Eden, is a fighting game on the Neo Geo? I could not believe it. I was in absolute awe of it. And it's one of those ones, it's the last Far East of Eden game that I need to get to kind of complete my collection. But it's a bit of a dream at this point, and one that's really out of the realm of possibility. Okay, the next Neo Geo game that I'm going to mention is an obvious one for me. It is Mark of the Wolves. Yes, a great fighting game that has an astronomical, ridiculous price. But you know what I did years ago? I picked up this. This is a replica of it for the PS4 version of the game. So in a way, I can have it on the shelf and it feels very much like owning the original, but it's not owning the original. This is not the original. It's a PS4 in the clamshell, mimicking the original game. And the original game is like nearly 25 years old now, which I cannot believe. And it's a fighting game that I love. It's in my top 10 fighting games of all time. And I know that they're coming out with a new one, City of the Wolves. That's exciting. That's really exciting that they're doing that.
City of the Wolves.
But you know, for me, one day a dream for me is to pick up the original Mark of the Wolves.
KO.
Okay, for my last little bit of dreaming that I get to do today, there's something that I absolutely one day would love to own again. Again, I did originally own it. 1989, Christmas morning, I got the Sega Genesis.
Cool.
And it was incredible. And I opened it all up and I looked at it all, and I got Altered Beast that morning. That came with a pack-in with the system. And I also got Last Battle, you know, Fist of the North Star. And they just called it Last Battle when they brought it here, and changed it all around, changed the story around a little bit. But I had a great time that Christmas morning.
I heard Matt got a Sega Genesis.
And it really means a lot to me looking back. And what do I want? What would I want out of all of that? I already have the games. I would really like the Altered Beast Sega Genesis mint. I would love to have that box, because I remember opening it up Christmas morning and looking at it going, oh my gosh, like, you know, it was just like, it was the future at home. I mean, I know Altered Beast has become a little bit of a joke over the years, but seeing Altered Beast on the cover and I'd already seen it in the arcade. I saw it in an arcade in Hawaii, and I could not believe what I was seeing. And I'm like, they're bringing that home? And yes, I beat the game in about half an hour. But it was the arcade experience home, and that's what the Genesis will always represent, that Christmas morning. And it was a beautiful time in my innocence, you know, being 15 years old. And, you know, opening that up, and just, I couldn't believe what my parents got me. And it was like a wonderful Christmas, and I still thank them to this day for that Christmas. It was a beautiful memory. Guys, those are some games that are a bit of a dream for me, to one day walk into a store and go, oh my god, Kabuki Clash, and it's only $100. It's never happening for most of these, that's for sure, but I can have a little bit of fun talking about them today. And I'll ask you guys, what are some games that you would desperately love to have in your collection, but they're either unavailable in stores or they're just astronomically out of the price range of most normal human beings? What are some games for you? Are they childhood memories? Let me know down below. So anyways, guys, until next time.